Their accounts make the Rendlesham incident one of the most detailed and well-documented to date. These witnesses also say that the authorities launched an investigation and then tried to cover it up. This event has an eerie similarity to a sighting more than 30 years earlier, when an extraterrestrial spacecraft allegedly crashed near a military base in Roswell, New Mexico. Both stories involve eyewitness accounts, government investigations, and classified records and evidence.
This really was the Holy Grail. This was certainly Britain's most famous UFO case.
There's no doubt about it. This is Britain's Roswell.
It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way. This is unreal.
What really happened in that Suffolk forest over Christmas 1980?
If you contact the Pentagon about what happened December 1980 at RAF Woodbridge, England, they're going to tell you right now nothing happened there.
People need to step up to the plate and say something.
It happened, and it was real, and someone else visited Rendlesham Forest in 1980.
This is Bentwaters Royal Air Force Base near Woodbridge. 70 miles northeast of London, the now dormant site was once a highly sophisticated military installation.
The main function of the twin bases there was to support the NATO effort in case of a war in Europe. We would go ahead and mobilize our A-10 aircraft to support whatever war effort we were told to do.
In 1980, with Cold War tensions still in the air, Bentwaters and nearby Woodbridge air bases were operated by around 12,000 US Air Force personnel, making it one of the largest NATO complexes in Europe. But the site, bordered by the dense Rendlesham forest, held a secret. This was Bentwaters' top-secret weapons storage area. Exactly what was kept here is officially classified, but researchers and observers agree that a massive nuclear arsenal was stockpiled beneath these concrete bunkers.
The extraordinarily secured underground bunkers with alternating layers of steel, concrete, earth, held something like 300,000 kilotons of nuclear ordnance.
The American airmen who staffed this base were highly skilled, trained to deal with life and death situations with a cool, clear head. And that makes the events at Rendlesham even more mysterious, because what they claim to have seen on Christmas night 1980 made these thick-skinned military men shudder. At 3 a.m., Airman John Burroughs was patrolling the east gate of Woodbridge Air Base, part of his normal routine as a security policeman.
Security did the airfields, weapon storage areas, and stuff like that. You controlled the entry of the base.
The 20-year-old had joined the US Air Force 2 years before and had been stationed at Bentwaters for about 18 months. That night, everything appeared normal.
It was cold that night. It was a clear night, pretty much. You know, it was a clear night. There's a little bit of fog.
Then Sergeant Bud Stevens pulled up in a truck.
He tracked me down and said, let's ride around for a while.
The men drove into Rendlesham Forest. Suddenly, Stevens noticed a strange light in the woods just off the road.
He said, whoa, is that normal? And I looked out and there was just a weird glow in the woods. I said, no, it's not normal.
Burroughs felt nervous.
You know, you just felt a real sense of danger or something wasn't right. There were different colored lights, you know, like you see on a Christmas display, different colored lights that were blinking on and off.
Alarmed, the men sped back to the gate to call the flight desk from a secure phone line. They didn't want to broadcast the information over their radios. At Burroughs' insistence, the call was transferred to the base's Central Security Control, or CSC. The shift commander dispatched Sergeant Jim Peniston to the site. Peniston had been a security policeman with the Air Force for 7 years.
They told me I need to go out the East Gate. We have a situation out there. And I said, what type of situation? He said, well, I'd rather have the on-scene patrolman tell you what that is. I says, well, can it wait? No, you gotta get out immediately.
Within minutes, Peniston and his driver arrived at the East Gate. Burroughs and Stevens directed his attention to the woods.
I seen this multicolor yellow and red. It was about, 200-300 meters away. And it looked like an aircraft crash immediately. That's the color that you get from titanium and fuel burning.
Peniston called back to CSC to get clearance to investigate a possible downed aircraft.
If it is an aircraft crash, we can go ahead and, render assistance and set up security for it.
As part of standard procedure, Sergeant Peniston questioned Bud Stevens.
And I said, well, do you hear it crash, Bud? And he said, no, it didn't crash. It landed.
Stevens was too frightened to help with the investigation. He returned to his post, and Burroughs and Peniston proceeded without him. With a driver, they headed toward the mysterious light. No longer able to drive through the dense trees, Burroughs and Peniston continued on foot. They walked about 50 yards, noticing strong interference on their radios.
The farther we got into the woods, it became more and more intermediate, where it was harder and harder to talk to them.
Suddenly, Sergeant Peniston felt an electric charge in the air.
I've been in excitable situations before on duty, and I know the adrenaline feeling, but this here was different. You could feel it on your clothes, your face, your hair.
The closer they moved toward the light, the less the scene resembled a crash.
It didn't have no smell of smoke, and it was too contained. It was just like one ball out there.
We came into a clearing, and then that's when it was like a bright light lit up the whole area. It was almost blinding.
Sergeant Peniston approached within 10 feet of the object, and the bright light dimmed. His eyes adjusted, but he still couldn't take in what he was seeing.
I'm a rational person. I wanted a rational explanation of what was going on. I could not come up with one.